You know that feeling of dread that creeps in on a Sunday night? What if it's not just about the week's workload? What if it's something more sneaky? What if the normal parts of your job, the things everyone just accepts as professional life, are actually poisoning your well-being? Today, we're exposing 6 common workplace habits that look totally fine on the surface, but are really the first warning signs of a deeply toxic culture. You're going to learn how to spot the red flags that everyone else is ignoring, so you can protect your peace and get out before the burnout takes over. Because here's the reality. A toxic job doesn't always start with screaming matches. It often begins quietly, with little habits that slowly chip away at your confidence, your happiness, and your health. We're going to break these down, starting with the subtle signs and moving to the can't ignore alarms. By the end of this, you'll have a clear way to size up your own job and know the difference between a role that's challenging and one that's just damaging. Habit number 1, paying your dues. Let's start with a classic, the idea that you have to pay your dues. It sounds fair, right? You get a new job, put your head down, do the grunt work, and eventually you move up. But there's a dark side, a point where paying your dues just becomes a permanent state of being stuck. The first subtle sign is that you feel completely stagnant. You've been in the role for a year or two, and your job is exactly the same as it was on day 1. When you ask for more responsibility or a shot at a cool project, the answer is always a vague, maybe next quarter. Your ideas in meetings get a polite nod and are then immediately forgotten. You start to feel less like a professional and more like a cog in the machine. It's easy to dismiss this as the grind, but constant stagnation is a huge red flag. Healthy companies invest in their people's growth. Toxic ones just exploit their willingness to comply. This is where the quiet problem can blow up into something much worse: micromanagement. When a culture doesn't value growth, it starts to fear independence. Suddenly, you're not just being denied new projects, you're not trusted with your own. Your boss wants to approve every single email. They demand a minute-by-minute report of your day. Your creative ideas are treated like a problem, not an innovation. This isn't about quality control. It's about control, period. It sends a crushing message: we don't trust your J. Over time, this destroys your confidence, making you second-guess everything. You start to believe you actually need that hand-holding, trapping you in a cycle of dependency. This isn't paying your dues. It's a strategy to keep you small and manageable. When a company actively stops you from growing, it's not a place to build a future. It's a place that will slowly tear yours down. Habit number 2, high turnover as new opportunities. Here's a habit most people see but choose to ignore: the constant revolving door of coworkers. 1 minute, your favorite high-performing colleague is there, and the next, their desk is empty. The email from HR is always the same cheerful, bland message: so-and-so has decided to pursue a new opportunity. Everyone just nods and moves on. That's the subtle sign. Good people leave. A lot. Often without any real explanation. You might hear whispers, but the official story is always squeaky clean. It's easy to rationalize it. The job market is hot, you tell yourself. But when it happens over and over again with people you respect, it's time to pay attention. A workplace that keeps losing its best people isn't just unlucky, it's a sign that something is deeply wrong. This is where the pattern goes from a little weird to a major symptom of a hostile environment. High turnover is one of the biggest predictors of a toxic workplace. It shows the problems aren't just one-off incidents, they're baked into the system. People with options, the talented, the experienced, are choosing to leave rather than stick around. They are the canaries in the coal mine, and their departure is your warning. In really toxic places, management will even try to spin the high turnover. They'll say things like, "We're just trimming the fat," or "They weren't a good culture fit," basically blaming the person who left. This is a classic manipulation tactic. It dismisses the real reasons people are running for the exits, like a terrible boss or burnout, and tries to paint the exodus as a sign of strength. When you see that revolving door, ask yourself, why are so many smart people choosing to go through the stress of a job search instead of staying here? The answer is almost always that the pain of staying has become worse than the fear of leaving. High turnover isn't a sign of a dynamic company. It's the clearest sign that the ship is sinking, and the smartest people are grabbing the life rafts. Habit number 3. Criticism, parading as improvement. Every healthy workplace needs feedback, but in toxic environments, that concept gets twisted into something ugly. It starts with something that seems professional: A focus on constant improvement. The subtle sign is that you almost never hear anything positive. You pull an all-nighter to save a project, and the response is silence. No thank you, no great job. Instead, your wins are met with indifference or, even worse, immediately followed by, "But next time, you should." You start to feel invisible, like you're chasing a word of praise that will never come. This is often framed as maintaining high standards, but what it really does is make you feel like you're never good enough. This habit of constant constructive criticism can quickly escalate into a seriously abusive tool: public humiliation. The feedback is no longer in private, it's used as a weapon in team meetings. A manager might belittle your idea in front of everyone, pick apart your work on a conference call, or use sarcasm to undermine you. This is not feedback, it's a power play designed to shame and control you. When criticism is delivered with contempt, it's just verbal abuse. It has zero to do with helping you improve, and everything to do with reinforcing a hierarchy. It creates an environment of fear where no one wants to take risks or even speak up. If you constantly feel sick to your stomach before meetings, or find yourself replaying humiliating comments for days, you are not being too sensitive. You're experiencing a core feature of a toxic job. Real feedback builds you up. This behavior is designed to break you down. We're halfway through, and if any of this is hitting a little too close to home, just take a second and acknowledge that feeling. It's valid. This is heavy stuff, but seeing it for what it is the first step to getting your peace back. If you're finding this helpful, please hit that subscribe button. We talk about how to protect your career and your mental health every single week, and I'd love for you to be part of this community. Okay, let's get back to it. Habit number 4. Negativity dressed up as friendship. Well, every office has complaining. Sometimes it even feels like bonding, huddling up with a work friend to vent about a client or a deadline. It feels normal, but there's a line where venting turns into a full-blown culture of negativity. The subtle sign is when almost every single conversation is a complaint session. The lunch table is just a forum for ripping on the company. Slack channels are filled with sarcastic memes. After-work drinks are all about gossip and pessimism. You might even join in because it feels like the only way to connect with people. It's easy to wave it off as just blowing off steam, but when negativity is the main way people communicate, it means morale is totally broken. This slow burn of negativity can escalate into a seriously dangerous dynamic, a culture of blame. When a place is that pessimistic, it stops looking for solutions and starts looking for scapegoats. Suddenly, a mistake isn't a learning opportunity. It's a crime that needs a culprit. The question is no longer, how do we fix this? But whose fault is this? This creates an environment ruled by fear and CYA, or cover your ass behavior. People start documenting everything, BCCing their managers on emails to create a paper trail, and refusing to do anything without written approval. Trust disappears, collaboration dies, because helping someone could mean you get blamed for their mistake. Innovation grinds to a halt because trying something new and failing could be a career-ending move. This isn't camaraderie, it's a shared trauma bond. When people are more focused on defending themselves than doing their jobs, it's a sign that leadership has built a culture of punishment, not support. Habit number 5. Burnout passed off as just stress. Our bodies often know something is wrong long before our minds want to admit it. We've totally normalized being stressed out at work, wearing our exhaustion like a badge of honor. But there's a massive difference between a busy week and the soul-crushing weight of a toxic job. The subtle, early signs show up physically. Those Sunday scaries that used to pop up at 8 p.m. now start on Saturday morning, ruining your whole weekend. You have trouble sleeping because your mind is racing with work anxieties. You feel constantly irritable. Maybe you have a knot in your stomach, frequent headaches, or a deep fatigue that no amount of coffee can touch. We tend to brush this off as just stress. But this isn't normal. And if you ignore it, those quiet whispers from your body can turn into a full-on scream. This is the severe stage. Your health starts to seriously decline. That low-grade anxiety can turn into actual panic attacks. You might develop chronic stomach issues, back pain, or get sick all the time because your immune system is shot. Mentally, you might feel numb and detached, classic symptoms of burnout and depression. The World Health Organization officially recognizes burnout as a syndrome caused by chronic workplace stress, that hasn't been managed successfully. Your body has been in fight or flight mode for so long that it's starting to break down. These symptoms aren't a sign of weakness. They are the direct result of being in an environment that your nervous system sees as a threat. Your body is keeping score, and it's telling you, in the only language it has, that you need to escape. Listening is not giving up, it's survival. And finally, we get to one of the most manipulative toxic habits of all, the workplace that calls itself a family. It sounds so warm and fuzzy, right? Who wouldn't want to work with people who feel like family? The subtle sign is when that family language starts to blur professional boundaries. Your boss texts you at 10 p.m. because we're all in this together. You're expected to go to unpaid weekend events because that's what families do. You feel pressured to share personal details you're not comfortable with. It's positioned as a caring, tight-knit culture, but it's an early warning that your time and personal space aren't respected. This family dynamic can quickly escalate into its most toxic form, a tool for abuse and manipulation. In these places, the family line is used to demand absolute loyalty. If you question a decision, you're letting the family down. If you set a boundary, like not working on vacation, you're not a team player. It's used to justify insane demands, unpaid overtime, and unprofessional behavior. This is so dangerous because it plays on our basic human need to belong. It leads to gaslighting, where you're made to feel guilty or sensitive for wanting a normal work-life balance. It's even used to excuse awful behavior, with the logic that families fight sometimes. Let's be perfectly clear, your workplace is not your family. It's a business transaction. You provide your labor in exchange for money and respect. A healthy workplace is friendly and supportive, but it has clear, firm boundaries. A place that insists it's a family is often a high-control environment trying to exploit your loyalty. It's not a community, it's a cage, with comforting words painted on the bars. If you recognized your job in any of this, from the small signs to the big ones, I want you to hear this. You are not crazy. You are not weak, and you are not overreacting. Your feelings are real. For too long, we've been told to just accept these things as part of having a job. They're not. The most important thing I want you to take from this is that leaving a toxic job isn't failure. It is a profound act of self-preservation. You are protecting your health, your sanity, and your future. If this is your situation, start making a quiet exit plan. Document what's happening. Talk to a trusted friend or a therapist. Polish up your resume. You don't have to leap tomorrow, but you can start taking small steps today to get your power back. Thank you so much for watching. Which of these signs have you experienced? Please share your story in the comments below. You would be shocked at how many people are going through the same thing, and your story might be the validation someone else desperately needs to hear. In my next video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 essential steps for resigning professionally without burning bridges. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss it.